Have you ever noticed that the harder some men try to keep a woman's attention, the less interested she seems to become? It sounds backwards. Most people believe that constant texting, always being available, and never letting the conversation fade will make someone feel closer. But attraction doesn't always follow effort. In many situations, it follows emotional perception. Today, we're exploring what often happens inside a woman's mind when a man genuinely stops chasing. Not to manipulate her, not to play games, but because he finally starts valuing his own time, peace, and self-respect. Let's get into it. The first shift is that your absence becomes impossible to ignore. When your attention is always there, it slowly becomes part of her routine. She expects the good morning text. She expects the quick reply. She expects you to keep the conversation alive. That doesn't necessarily mean she doesn't appreciate it. It simply means your presence becomes predictable. But when that pattern quietly disappears, her mind naturally notices the change. Questions begin showing up on their own. Why did he suddenly become quiet? Did something happen? Is he focusing on someone else? Why do I miss hearing from him now? The interesting part is that silence often creates more reflection than constant conversation. Without your attention filling every gap, her own thoughts become louder. The second thing that often happens is uncertainty replaces certainty. People rarely spend much time analyzing something they believe will always be there. When your interest never changes, there is very little mystery. She already knows what to expect, but once your energy shifts, her perception starts changing too. She may begin replaying previous conversations. She may wonder if she misunderstood your feelings. She may even question whether she underestimated your value. Human psychology is naturally drawn toward unanswered questions. The mind wants closure. It wants explanations. And when those answers aren't immediately available, curiosity grows almost automatically. That's why emotional certainty often creates comfort, while uncertainty creates attention. The third shift is that your value is no longer measured by how much attention you give. It's measured by what your absence makes her feel. Many men believe attraction grows by constantly doing more. More messages, more compliments, more effort. But emotional attraction doesn't always increase with constant availability. When someone always has unlimited access to your time and attention, your presence can slowly become familiar. Not unwanted, just expected. The moment that availability changes, however, the emotional dynamic changes with it. Now she notices the empty space where your energy used to be. She notices that her phone isn't lighting up with your messages. She notices that the conversation isn't being carried by you anymore. Sometimes people don't fully appreciate consistency until they experience its absence, and that's when emotional awareness begins to grow. The fourth thing is perhaps the most important. For the first time, she has to examine her own feelings instead of simply responding to yours. When one person is constantly pursuing, the other person can stay emotionally passive. There's no pressure to ask difficult questions because the connection keeps moving forward on its own. But once the pursuit stops, that changes completely. Now she has to ask herself something she may have avoided before. Do I actually miss him? Or do I only miss the attention he used to give me? That question isn't always comfortable. Sometimes a random memory suddenly feels more meaningful. A familiar place reminds her of you. A song brings back emotions she hadn't noticed before. She might even catch herself checking her phone, wondering if your name will appear. Not because someone forced those emotions, but because they're finally coming from within her own mind, instead of being constantly triggered by your effort. The fifth thing that often happens is that your silence carries more emotional weight than your words ever did. From the outside, she may seem completely unaffected. She continues posting online, she talks to friends, she goes about her daily life, so it's easy to assume she never cared. But outward behavior doesn't always reflect what's happening internally. Many people hide emotional reactions because they don't want to appear vulnerable. Instead of admitting they miss someone, they quietly observe. They notice that you no longer view every story. They realize you're online, but not reaching out. They think about conversations that once felt ordinary, but now seem different. Someone who truly feels nothing rarely spends time monitoring your absence. The sixth shift gives you something even more valuable than attention. It gives you clarity. As long as you're doing all the chasing, it's almost impossible to know how much effort the other person is actually willing to invest. You're starting every conversation, you're making every plan, you're carrying the emotional weight of the relationship. That means you never get to see what happens when you stop. But when you take one step back, the answer slowly reveals itself. If she genuinely values the connection, she'll usually find a reason to reconnect. It may be a simple message, a reaction to one of your posts, a casual question, or even an excuse that seems completely random. The form doesn't matter. The effort does. And if nothing happens at all, painful as that may feel, you've gained something far more useful than false hope. You've gained truth, because clarity allows you to move forward, while confusion keeps you emotionally stuck. The seventh and final thing is that your focus begins returning to where it always belonged, your own life. Ironically, This is the moment many women begin seeing you differently. Not because you're pretending to be distant, not because you're trying to create jealousy, but because your energy genuinely changes. Instead of checking your phone every few minutes, you're working toward your goals. Instead of chasing validation, you're building confidence. Instead of making someone else the center of your world, you're creating a life that feels meaningful on its own. That kind of emotional stability is naturally attractive. People are drawn to those who have direction, purpose, and self-respect. And perhaps the biggest lesson of all is this: stopping the chase is never about making someone panic. It's about refusing to lose yourself while trying to keep someone else. Healthy relationships don't require one person to carry everything. They grow when both people willingly invest, communicate, and move toward each other. If someone only values you when you're constantly proving yourself, that connection was never balanced to begin with. The right woman won't need endless pursuit to recognize your worth. She'll appreciate your consistency, respect your boundaries, and meet your effort with her own. So if you've been exhausted from always doing the chasing, maybe the answer isn't to try harder. Maybe it's to step back, protect your peace, and allow people's actions to reveal their true intentions. Because the strongest position you can ever be in isn't convincing someone to choose you. It's becoming the kind of man who never has to beg for genuine interest in the first place. If you've ever stopped chasing someone and noticed their behavior suddenly change, share your experience in the comments. And if you enjoy conversations about female psychology, attraction, confidence, emotional intelligence, and modern relationships, subscribe and join us for the next video. There's much more to explore.